Okay, so again, today we want to focus on interviews. So please, if you have questions related to resume or LinkedIn or others, please keep it to other sessions. We'll try to give the attention today to only interviews so that everybody get, that focus touch of interviews. So I'll share few minutes of what I think, everybody should do about interviews, and then I'll pass it on again to Coach Mo, Samer, and Jonathan to share their wisdom in again a few minutes, and then open it up for you guys to have questions. So again, if you have questions, maybe write it down in the chat or keep it ready. We definitely will open up for you to ask those questions. So for interviews, there is four phases of preparing for interview. One phase is when you don't have interviews, and that's pre interviews. That's general one. You have to be ready with the most basic questions and everything that you need to do to avoid that panic mode on the night of the interview. Because if you're preparing for interview only when you get interviews, that could be too late already, and that could be very hard for you. So definitely you need to start writing down your stories and understanding what's your role, how to speak about yourself, how to prepare your pitch, how to make your LinkedIn and stories, resume, and everything align to that goal. So that's the first phase, which is preparing before you even get interviews. The next phase is now you have an interview and you want to prepare for this company specifically. There is a company who's asking you for an interview. You definitely need to research that company. You definitely need to know about their mission, vision, projects, products, challenges, competition, revenue, users, products, and all those things, because this is what will make you ready or a fit for this company. If you know more about this company, then that will help you select what you say about yourself that align with this company. So that's again one of the things that are very, very important. Again, if you don't have the skills to be in camera for an interview, you may want to try it now. We may want to just be on camera today to build that muscle. It's not easy. Sometimes it's not easy for you guys to be in camera. So don't wait until you get the interview and then start doing that, because sometimes it gets very nervous while in camera. Definitely the stories are very important. During the interview, definitely don't try to oversell, don't try to pitch, don't try to memorize, sentences. Try to, be authentic, but also make sure that you think about the pain points of the employer, the hiring manager, how to help them de-risk those, decisions in order for them to feel okay when they defend you that you are the right hire for this position. They have some kind of backup data that they can say, oh yes, I selected X or Y or Z because one, two, three. They know that you are the best candidate, and they have some proof from whatever you mentioned or whatever you shared on your LinkedIn, on your certifications, on your resume, on your interview, that would help them really, back up his or her decision to hire you. So the last phase is again after the interview, the follow-ups and how to, continue to still feel, make them feel that you're in demand, but without begging, without, being desperate and nagging them every day or minute about, what's next, and that's not going to be a good one. I'll pause here. I don't want to again speak more than 2 3 minutes. I'll give it to Coach Mo to give again his wisdom about interviews, and then Samer, and then we'll open up for everybody to share their questions.
Thank you, Ahmed. And folks on the call, you will hear more than one coach talking about the topic. So I want you to take each conversation as a dimension to the interview. Ahmed is giving you one dimension. Mo, Samer, and Jonathan put the dimensions together and try to get a comprehensive approach. So I will address the dimension of uh, what happens. What does it mean to get an interview, right? what it means to get an interview, that the resume that you have submitted to the job, and the employer has read it, when they read it, they saw a possibility. They saw a possibility for you fulfilling on some needs that they have, and now they want to bring you in and have a conversation. So I want you to think about this conversation that you are getting into the interview. I would like to believe that you're 70% sold onto the job. Okay, so your technical skills, whatever was on paper, worked. That's why you're having the interview. If you didn't work, you wouldn't hear from the employer. So we want to acknowledge that. Getting into the interview, now what does the interviewer wants to fulfill at that point? One, they want to validate that who you are in the resume is who is sitting in front of them in terms of qualifications and credentials that can fulfill on their needs in the job. Okay. Also, they have concerns that they want to understand that you are going to be the one that will work with them smoothly to fulfill on that job. So they want to see your personal side. They want to have a conversation. When we previously talked about being in a job is like we always drew the parallel with relationship and getting married. You're going to get married to them in that job for the next 3-4 years. So also the hiring manager want to understand that you're pleasant enough to work with. You're a team worker. You're not a disruption. You're not rigid in your views. You're flexible. All this stuff does not show in a piece of paper. So they bring you in the interview, having discussion. A lot of things show up as subject of how you present yourself in that. And as an employer, I can detect so many things beyond that piece of paper. So I just want to add this dimension, saying that make sure that inside the interview, you're managing the employer's needs, validations, and concerns about who you are during that half an hour, and possibly come out of that interview with being leaving them with a possibility that you could be friends. I tell people or job seekers that after you finish the interview, let's say you're not selected for the job for any reason that happened in the interview, would the interviewer still see themselves taking you for a cup of coffee or tea? Does this bondage happen, or during the interview you were in your spot and they were in their spot and there was no bridge between the two of you? That's why some people technically in interviews do very well and they're surprised that they were not selected. So I tell them, because machine to machine worked, but human to human did not work. There was no connection. People buy people and people hire people. They don't hire qualifications only or credentials only. So that's the dimension I'll add here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach Mo. Again, guys, as Coach Mo mentioned, everybody is bringing their dimension. So now we'll hear from Samer. He's an HR, and then we're also having another HR, professional with us. So we'll get his insights soon. So, Samer, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. So, getting an interview is an amazing thing because it's give the harvest of the initial step of searching for a job. Whenever we are applying for jobs and we're asking this question, are you getting responses from your applications? If not, then that's a good indication that either your resume have an issue or the method you are using to apply is having an issue. The moment you get an interview, then that moment you should realize like you have already beaten maybe 1,000 other applicants. And now you are one of a three that been admitted for an interview. Don't let any of the other two take the job from you. This is the time where you have to score better, do a better interview, so you can beat the other two and get the job for yourself. It's an easier competition than the previous job when you were applying part of it. I will say definitely the hiring manager are prepared for the interview. So before they come for the interview, they're reading your resume, they're preparing their questions, they have a short meeting before the interview to ask you this question, and they know what behavioral competency they are going to target to ask candidates. If the candidate is not prepared, so failure to prepare is a preparation for failure. Definitely you will not be scoring well. Interview is not an opportunity to show the smartness of how you are handling different questions in life. No, it is not. It's a prepared exercise where you do your research, you prepare, you practice, you draft different questions and prepare for them, and then go for the interview and answer in a structured and strong manner using STAR techniques and persuasion skills so you can start scoring. In the interview, there's three people sitting there reviewing your questions and giving you scores. So it can't be more fair than this. Every person is scoring you individually, and then they are meeting after to put a consensus on their answers. And then their score and give you that score. So whenever you get a high score, you get the job. The other things I will say also is make yourself very familiar with different interview questions. But there's a big number of options of different questions. I am familiar with almost 900 questions. Any of these questions I can answer. But are you going to by heart all these answers? No, never do that. But make yourself prepared to analyze the question that is coming and ask yourself, what does the interviewer want me to say? Flip it in your brain, prepare your story, and answer in that manner. Before getting for an interview, I, as a hiring person in the HR, I do recruitment. I prepare 15 questions for the hiring manager for them to select out of them five and use it in the interviews. So make sure before you go for the interview, you sit down and you draft 15 questions. You practice them and then go for the interview. And then fortunately, you will be having similarity in that. I do this with my clients as well. I prepare them questions to practice it before the interview. Unfortunately, like many times, we get similarity in the interview because the person who is preparing questions in that side is also an HR person. So he's also thinking in the same way I do. And probably we get some similarity and get the job seeker more familiar with the questions, then he can be more confident in presenting himself. Last tip I would say in the interview, make sure you have a backup plan. So going for an interview, either you win the job or what? Are you going to go out disappointed? No. Build something for the future. Get a connection with the people who interviewed you. Get a positive impression with them. They might have another job after 1 month and they call you for that. They might actually hire a person who will not last for the position. After 1 month, he's walking out. Then they will say, oh, we remember this X person. He was very good in the interview, and we will call you out of the competition after that. And this is happening a lot. When you build a strong impression, you have also a second round to win the job. I wish everybody the best. It's an exercise. You need to practice a lot. And then the moment that it's come for you, you will win the job.
Thanks so much, Timer. Great wisdom. I love the building the connection part too much. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Jonathan, I'm not sure if you want to share your insights here, or should we move on to
No, I've
someone?
got, yeah, I love everything that's been said. The one thing that I'll add to it is if you've read anything about fear and studies about fear, the number one, for most people, the number one fear they have is public speaking. Interviewing is sometimes listed as well, as a subset of public speaking. The way I try and kind of caution people and tell them, hey, look, be excited, be interested. I mean, I've interviewed thousands of times, both on both sides of the table. I'm excited. I'm a little bit anxious. I'm a little bit nervous when I go into an interview, but I prepared. I prepared for what I'm going to say. I'm prepared for how I'm going to answer. I've had good interviews where I walked out, I thought they were good, and they ended up being bad. I've had bad interviews where I've walked out and thought that they were bad, and they ended up being good. At the end of the day, you ultimately go in there, go into the arena, you perform as well as you can. The thing I say about interviews is interviews are basically conversations with financial implications. And so where you and I can sit across the table from each other and have coffee and it would be completely fine, people freak out because it's an interview. And then they end up not performing as well. There are some people who just aren't good interviewers. And that's the reality. All you can do with that is practice. But I think that it's really important to remember that, go in there, the person is obviously interested in you. That's why you're in that position. It's your opportunity to kind of make sure that you leave there with the impression that, one of the points that was just made is you might not make it on that first round, but then if you've left a good impression with that person, then they'll call you back. And I've had situations where I've had jobs, been able to get jobs as a result of something like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Again, great point too. Okay, I want to pass it to another HR professional, Ahmed. If you want to maybe just do a quick introduction and then jump into, again, your wisdom about interviews. What do you think people should do to prepare themselves for interviews?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for having me, and thank you so much for all the coaches and for all the support that you give to the community. So I'm Ahmed Abul Magd. I'm an HR manager, and I am also HR consultant in different fields. And I have been working also. I used to work as an employment consultant with newcomers support centers like World Skills and YMCA. So I have, as Coach Mo said, I also work on both sides, as an interviewer or as an interviewee. So I will give some tips. As a hiring manager, for example, I would like to speak to people as a hiring manager so that people would put themselves in my shoes. So that's very important. If you are an interviewee, even if you are a candidate, put yourself in the shoes of the interviewer. So you should do your homework, read more about the company, read more about the interviewers. So you can ask, if you don't have the names of the interviewers, you can ask the person who invited you for the interview, well, who are the interviewers? What are their titles, at least, if you don't know their names? So you can read about them, you can research their background, you can go to their LinkedIn, connect with them on LinkedIn, which is a good idea. I was hiring for an HR coordinator like a few weeks ago. Many people reached out to me, and I ended up hiring one of those people who reached out through LinkedIn, because she had built rapport with me, which is great that you build rapport with the people who will interview you. So do your homework about the company. Also try to find the similarities in values about these companies. So if you are a candidate for example, nonprofit organization, see what are the values that you yourself share with this company, so that you can present yourself in this way. So when you go for interview, you are not only selling what you have, you're selling what they need. So it's very important, again, to put yourself in the shoes of the interviewer. So what do they need from me so that I can share? You don't have to share everything that you know, or everything that you need, or everything that you have, every experience that you have had, every certificate that you have had. No. Show to them only what they need and what they value, and what common values you have with this organization. So this is very, very important, that will put yourself, as Coach Mo and Samer said, once you are invited for an interview, this means that your resume worked well. So it was successful. Now it's your role to shine. You personally, you have to shine in the interview. You shine by showing the values that you share with the company, the experience and the expertise or the qualifications that you have that will match or fit with this job. And also, I'd like you also to focus on building the rapport during the interview, to build rapport with the interviewers. Share, look to their faces in the eyes, divide your looks or your attention on all the interviewers. Don't focus on one of them. You don't know who is the decision maker. You should focus your attention to all of them. For example, if I'm asking a question, you focus with me because you are responding to my question, but also divide your attention to all other interviewers. This will show self-confidence. This will show that you have good communication skills, because one of the major things that we measure or we evaluate during interviews is communication skills. Although there might not be a direct question about interviewing about communication skills, but I can evaluate your communication skills during the interview, how you communicate with everyone, how you share your eye contact, how you share your attention to everyone in the interview. This is very, very important during the interviews. I have also some tips, of course, that it goes without saying that you have to go to arrive at least 15 minutes earlier, not exact time, or not even more than 15 minutes is too early. Maybe they are busy with other things. Like 15 minutes earlier is more than enough. Also, when you arrive at the interview, so you welcome everyone, you handshake with everyone. You should wait until they guide you to where you should be sitting, because usually as a panel, which is most of the case they are a panel, they would ask you to sit down in a place where you face all the interviewers. So they should guide you to where you should be sitting. If you have your resume, definitely they have your resume already. So, but it's a good idea to print out copies, like a couple of copies of your resume, and maybe ask them, if you don't have my resume, here is my resume. So show them also that you are prepared with extra copies of your resume. Appropriate clothing. The appropriate clothes is not always formal, by the way, not always formal to wear in the interview. Some jobs you must not be too formal when you go for a blue collar job, or even I would not say you don't have to be formal in as working from home, IT programmer. You don't have to be formal every day. But maybe you can ask the person who invited you for the interview, what kind of dressing would you like me to be? Is it business casual? Is it formal? To be formal is good, but not always the right solution, okay, or the right answer. Also for women, be conservative about your makeup. Don't go to the interview with exaggerated makeup or even exposing your body. So because this might give like a negative impact or a negative impression from the interviewers, but be also like moderate. There are some tips for the formal dressing for men and for women. You should Google it, and I can share some pictures, some ideas about the most suitable formal dressing for women and for men. Also, do your homework to prepare, which is very important. Some people don't think that I don't have to prepare a question to the interviewers. They have already answered all my questions. I always recommend my clients to have to prepare a couple of questions at the end of the interview. Why and what kind of questions? Why is because this shows that you are really interested in this job. You are really interested in this company. You are really, really keen to have this job, and you have already did your homework by researching the company, and you have some questions available. If it like for some people would say, you already answered my question. No, thank you so much. I'm good. It's okay, but does not show interest. You should do always the extra mile. Do an extra mile by preparing a couple of questions which relate to the job. For example, I know that you, as a company, you value your staff, but what are the development opportunities that I might have in your company? Do you have a budget for professional development? Things like this, things that would show that you are keen, even on the future, on your development in the company, on having a kind of continuing education in the company. And this will show that you are really passionate about your job, passionate about professional development, and passionate about joining this company. So I would recommend a couple of questions that that would be a little bit generic if you don't have any specific question, but also relevant to the job you are applying for. If you can say, for example, I have my designation. I'm an HR professional, for example. Do you pay for the membership for the Human Resource Professional Association or not? Do you pay for professional development if I join an event in the HRPA? Would you help me with some funds? These questions will show that you are interested. You are aware of the professional development opportunities for you, and that will benefit the company as well. I can keep talking, but I think that's enough. Ahmed, thank you so much for giving me this time, and I will be more than happy to get any question during the Q&A session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. I know this is an exciting and everybody's excited to share their wisdom, and thank you so much. You shared a lot of tons of wisdom here. So again, we'll open up for questions. Again, this is for you guys to ask us question. You have a ton of a great panel here, and also in the attendees, I see some professionals, executives, and others who I know personally have a ton of wisdom. So again, feel free to shine and chime and share your wisdom about interviews. What made sense? What did make the interview more exciting for you? I'll stop speaking and let you guys think, or maybe unmute yourself to share questions, please. Yeah, hi Sam, go ahead.
Yes, hi. I'm unmuted, right? Yeah.
No, you're good.
Good. All right. Hi, everybody. I'll briefly introduce myself. My name is Haytham Nazal. I'm a computer engineer, graduated since 2007. So that's a bit of a time. I spent around 16 years experience in construction, mainly focused on the integration of several systems like audio-video systems and what we call extra low voltage. And that's in the Middle East, including sometime 7 years in Dubai, past 5 years in Qatar, etc. Of course, that gave me an overview about multi culture work environment. As you might know, like a country like a city like Dubai, you will have nationalities from different. And now I moved to Canada about 6 months ago, and I'm on a job hunt. My question is this: when you are on an interview, I feel there is a small line between to show how you're eager and how much you want the job, and how to say this, might look as a desperate person, for example, which might give a negative indication. And this I feel sometimes this line can be very thin, and maybe you guys can help us, advise us, like what are the actions to show the eager, but in the same time not to be because nobody wish to hire a desperate person, right? You don't want to give this image about yourself after all. So yeah, this is kind of my question.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Ahmed.
yeah.
I see Samer raise his hand. Go ahead, Samer, if you want to take this one.
Thank you very much. So, Haitham, first of all, I would like really to encourage you, if you're able to open your camera, that's one of the things that help you to present yourself even better. It's another tool. They're saying the photo or the image is better than 1,000 words. And that's a practice for the future. You might not be prepared now. We're not pushing for that, but I encourage you every time when you introduce yourself. The second thing is, I will link your question with my previous experience in the Gulf area. So I have been working in almost 12 countries. A big part of the Gulf area that you referred to, like Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and Qatar, and Oman, and Kuwait. I worked in all these countries, and let me surprise you with something. There is nothing called Canadian experience. Because you are from a technical field, and you are presenting the same skills and knowledge. If you're providing it in the Gulf or in Canada or in USA, you have a technicality to provide. And that is a very important transferable skills between countries. When you come here to present that as a knowledge, that is amazing. First, if you think about the other side, the HR people who is interviewing you, they have 3 candidates. They need to choose one of them. They have a big challenge. They are sweating. The interviewer themselves, they get out from the room very exhausted and sweating because they need to take a very informative decision by selecting the best candidate. What if the candidate in front of them is someone who practiced how to oversell and pitch in the interview? Then they have to take a decision, and then later they cannot really change their mind. While the candidate, he can apply for 100 companies. You might be having 2 job offers at the same time, and you're accepting this and that at the same time. And then you will test the water. You will go to the meeting or join the company for 1 week and say, guys, I'm not coming tomorrow. I don't like you. I'm taking another. But the interviewer themselves, they cannot do that to you. So they are in a big challenge. You are in a small challenge. Now presenting yourself is a practice to sound confident, because you are selling a value for the company. When the company is going to pay you 120,000 per year, that means they are going to generate from you 150,000. So you need to sell the value and sell their need. Make your research about their pain point. What is their needs? And give them the amount of skills that is closing their gaps, satisfying their needs. That time they will pay you the 120, and of course they are using you. They are using you to make 150,000. So show the bigger value. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, Samer.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Ahmed, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Samir, for their insightful thoughts. I also would like to. I like the idea that Haitham raised, which is don't beg for the job. Don't show that you're desperate, but you can show you're interested. You're passionate about the job, but you don't have to show that you are begging the job. You're an example that might show that you are begging for the job. is to ask for the salary. So I'm not here to, maybe I'm most recommended that you don't speak about the salary unless they speak about the salary. So don't open the discussion about payment or money or salary unless they open the discussion for this salary. And also, you can also show that you are passionate about this job, looking for this job. Meanwhile, I'm doing my job, which is, you might not have a job, but your job right now is to keep yourself up to date. So when some people ask you, since you came to Canada, what have you been doing? I've been reading about the Canadian culture. I don't know, I'm not gonna, as Samir said, there is nothing called Canadian experience, but there is Canadian culture. So workplace culture, what does the Canadian workplace culture look like? How can I communicate with Canadian from different backgrounds? How and also keep yourself up to date with your job and with the requirements of your job. If you are a programmer, what are the most up-to-date trends in software programming in your field? How about AI in your field, and so on? So show that you have been doing your job by keeping yourself up to date while you're looking for the opportunities that you have been looking for, or the job that you've been looking for. But again, taboos, like speaking about the money, the showing. Some people say, I really need this job. I'm desperate about this job. I have seen some people doing this. And I'm unfortunately, as a company, as an employer, I would not be only looking for someone who is desperately looking for money. This is not the case. I'm looking for someone who is looking passionately to work for this job, or who is interested in doing this job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Coach Mo, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Ahmed. So on the topic of that being the fine line between
We lost your
being
camera, by the
interested.
way, Coach Mo. I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
But
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that fine line between the being interested but not showing desperation. Let me say this: when you get into the interview as a human being, we have this survival instinct, which we're always gonna look out for ourselves anyways, whether we like it or not. But then moving from the space of you talking about your needs to the space of trying to see what the other party is dealing with, and that's where that comes in is something called a concept called be curiously engaged. Curiously engaged means that ask the question something like, what are you guys up to? What are you trying to do with that job or filling that job? Try to get into their world and see more of that. And the more you ask about their world, the more they will get implicitly that you're interested, because if you're not interested, why are you even asking, right? And that's another thing that shows that you're not interested, is that you don't ask. It shows that you're in for just the salary and your position and your career growth, and you're not interested in what they're dealing with, what is open on their side that they're trying to close with this job. Where are they going with that job? Okay. So as soon as you ask these questions, two things is going to happen. One, implicitly they will get that you're interested. The second thing is you hand the mic to them to start telling you how this role plays out in their success and their organization. So when you talk next, answering the questions, you have a map of where to put your expertise and fill in the blanks for them, and then you're seen as a value that they're going to pull you. And then when they're going to pull that value onto them and see it clear, you don't need to sell yourself anyways. You're most likely going to be one of the top candidates when they make their decision. Okay. One other follow-up, Ahmed, about the salary, and Ahmed talked about the salary. Okay, and as a sign of, people would think that you're in for the money. You can still ask about the salary, but only when you establish that mutual connection and interest. And I want to just touch a bit on this a bit, because I see people doing first interview, second interview, third interview, and the salary is not addressed. And the notion is, if they don't tell you, don't ask. Otherwise, you'll look like you're in for the money. Asking about the money is not a taboo. It's you have a life to run and have expenses to cover and all that, but just do it at the right time when the rapport has been established. And at the end, the issue with reaching a third interview and then they tell you the salary, you don't like the salary, at that point they will tell you at that point, well, you didn't tell us. And you're going to tell them, well, you didn't ask or offer. And after 3 interviews, that relation is going to be leaving both parties sore. You wasted their time. For them, you have wasted your time and you didn't express what you really need. And for you, they have not appreciated your expertise and offering you something that's not what your worth is. So keep that in mind as well as you choose whether to ask about the salary or not.
That's great wisdom. Thank you so much, Coach Mo. Anyone else want to add anything? Haitham?
I just want to say hi for a start again, but with the camera this time. Mr. Samer, apologies for the first time, and because this is my first time joining with you on this, and I joined late, and yeah, some circumstances I didn't open the camera from the beginning, so this is a second introduction, if you may say. Thanks for the advices. I totally agree, and with Mr. Ahmed and what Coach Mo also that about the salary. I personally never filled a number in the application. If I have the the choice to do that, not to fill a number, I wouldn't fill a number. I would say to be discussed, and with that, I mean, in general, all over the years, I was always taking this. I don't know, it's a Chinese saying that don't give me a fish, but teach me, how to fish. And this is the experience, basically. Sometimes even you have to do a work for free just to gain the experience, and that would be okay as well.
Thank you, Aysam. Ahmed, is this a follow-up or another?
Yes, it's a follow-up about the what Haitham said about the salary, or if they ask you about how much are you looking for, what's your expectation for the salary? I would recommend that you put a range from 2. Don't put a specific number. So try to help yourself and help them maybe find a common ground. It's better to always put like a range from 2, based on your experience and the market labor market information. Don't put a specific salary, because if you put a number, it's yes or no. If you put a range, it's open for negotiation.
Yeah, that's true. And if you also do some intelligence about the job average salary which you are applying for, also that would be helpful. It doesn't make sense for job that's range 65 and you go ask for 100. That wouldn't make sense, I guess.
And please, guys, since I might talked about the range, please don't give them a 60, 70, 80,000 range. 10 to 20,000 only. Don't tell them, oh, my range is 60 to 120. Right? Samer will know, and Ahmed, there's nothing as such extreme in your category of a job. It's not a 60,000 interval at all. It's hardly 30,000 from the bottom to the top. Okay, so don't go in telling them, well, I think my salary anywhere from 80 to 150,000. if you have that range, if you have that range, try to shoot in the middle. Like if you have 80 to 150, what you probably could be saying, or maybe you meant something like 100 to 120.
Yes, I would recommend the 20,000 range. Yes, exactly.
Minimum 10 and yes, maximum 20 in that range is good enough.
Sure.
Yeah, again, I definitely, there is exceptions, Coach Mo. Some executives have that big range, 60K range. But anyway, again, I don't think
the thing is where we get it from the website. I don't want you to go get the range off a website like Glassdoor, and Glassdoor has 80,000 because it captured the size of the company and all that. Some companies smaller will pay less salary, but when you're applying for a company, you know which company size you're going to, so you can't apply the Glassdoor 80,000 interval. It just shows that you got it naively, or you copy and paste it from a website. So they will figure that out there. The interviewer is not dumb. They're smart as well.
Amazing. Again, guys, this call is for you, so I really want you to ask your questions. Dr. Barnabas, thank you. These topics are very helpful reminders to the process. Any insights, Dr. Barnabas? I know you've hired a lot of people, and you know how to support as a hiring manager. Do you have any insights or any questions to this group?
Insights, I think is, all of these, I like the beginning of the conversation where we talked about these all kind of like slices or different perspectives of each person. And I think looking at these through that pain of saying, okay, this is helpful, this is very helpful, this may not be as helpful. So take from it what you can. But I think it's very good reminders as we go through the process of understanding that I really love the conversation. I'm back for a second. I really love the conversation to where, and I forget who said it, but the conversation to where you flipped the situation around to say it's more about an opportunity to explore what the employer really needs. So there's no real reason to go into it as if you're at a disadvantage if you're looking at it that way, or nervous or scared about going through the process, because they brought you there for a reason. And now this is your opportunity to kind of articulate the fact that, okay, make sure I understand what your problems are, what your challenges are organizationally, and now let me answer and tell you how I can do those things. Sometimes it works to the point that was made about there's a personal connection, and it goes really well. Other times it's like, it's just not a fit. It doesn't necessarily mean that you couldn't have done the job. There was just somebody else in the process that was probably better aligned, or they felt was a better fit to do the job. So I enjoy the conversation, and thanks so much for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to listen. So I'm definitely taking notes over here and applying these things to my processes as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manos. And again, if you don't mind, I would like you to share the story about, when you were taking folks to for a walk for the interview. I think this is,
Ah,
this was one of the things that I learned from you myself, and it helped a lot. So if you, and again, maybe just a segue to make people understand where you're coming from. Dr. Barnabas is an executive with Microsoft. He used to hire middle management, and he has his own way of hiring. So go ahead, please, Dr. Barnes. I don't want to steal your thunder here.
it's all good. Thank you. One of the things I used to do is during an interview process. So we had, we like a lot of other companies, we'd have these big boardrooms that we'd have people into, and we have 3 or 4 different panels, and people are coming in and out of the interview room. And as a manager, one of my things was I didn't really focus on the technical aspects of what a person was going to do on the team. I had other people on the team that focused on the technical aspects. I looked at my role as trying to figure out if this is a person that I would want to be bothered with every day, right? Bothered with it in terms of one on the team. Do they fit the team? Are they going to blend with the team that I have, or are they going to become a problem for me personality wise, right? So I would go for walks. So during the interview, I'd say, did you bring an extra, if it's a lady, I'd say, do you have an extra pair of shoes? Or if it's a gentleman, you have shoes or something, or I just want to go outside. And what I liked about that process was it let the guard down, right? It turned into more of a conversation. And it wasn't necessarily this thing of where they felt like I was drilling them with questions and going back and forth and having those answers. We just go for a walk. We'd walk to we'd walk to the city center place, and just go around the block and come back. And the feedback that I was getting from that was it was very helpful, because it turned it into a process to them to where they could really relax and be themselves. And I got an opportunity to see them from a personal perspective, and they got an opportunity to see me from a personal perspective. So once we, to the point about, having 3 different people or hiring people, you having an interview, everybody has a different focus. Everybody's looking for a different thing. And my particular thing was the personality fit or the team fit. So I had the ability to do that if I wasn't the one looking at the technical pieces. But to be quite honest, a lot of the technical folks actually started picking up on that as well, and going out and doing a walk around the building, or just going to a different part of the building, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be outside of the building. We can just go to a different room. We can go down to the cafeteria. We can go someplace and turn it more into a conversation than that sitting across the table going back and forth.
I love it. Coach Mo, I think you have a follow-up. Go ahead.
Yes, I like the part where Dr. Barnabas was talking about the interview being a dialogue, and I want to cautious everyone's early on an interview so that they are able to turn around that. If you feel or see that the interview is going into an interrogative style, question and answer, I will tell you, take this sign that the interview is not going well. If the interview is a dialogue, as Dr. Barnabas was saying, that's a good indication that there is a connection happening between you and the interviewer. And if there is no connection happening between you and the interviewer, it does not matter. If you're Einstein, I'm not hiring you. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Amazing.
because a lot of people go in, especially the technical folks, and especially because I come from an IT background, I don't like that in the IT world where we're always hiding behind terminals and desks and all these things and doing things online and passing things through messaging or uploading code or blah, blah, blah. This hiding behind kills who you are as a human being. You don't shine. And even if it works for you until the mid-level, it's certainly not going to work past like into the manager and above, right? Once you get into a management role, you cannot hide anymore, right? So you have to be out there. So again, how do you turn the interview at the very beginning to trump this interrogative style of interview, and not have the interviewer do like, do you know this? No. Do you know this? Have you done this in the past? Have you done this? Do you know that? Do you know this? That's what I mean by the interrogative style, where you feel that you are in the corner of a boxing ring. You have your gloves on, you're hiding behind them, and the interviewing is punching you, and you're trying to dodge the punches. And that's how the 30 minutes to 1 hour goes. And then you're tired at the minute out. I can just on the topic, Ahmed, I can give tips how to turn that into from a early on, how to snatch leadership of the interview as an interviewer, right? And you lead the interview versus the interviewer doing that. They will always have the chance to do their stuff, but at the very beginning, when they ask you, tell me about yourself, right? And you're done with telling them about yourself, that's usually the first question in the interview. Try to give them the mic and flip the tables, right? Try to say something like, I'll tell you what I say usually, and I joke about it. And when they tell me about yourself, and I say my what I call it the personal pitch, and then as soon as I finish the pitch, which is 2-3 sentences, I say this, and I can speak about myself for the next 8 hours, and I don't know if that's going to make any difference with you. But I've seen from the job description that you are about to embark on an ambitious undertaking. Can you probably tell me how this role plays into what you're trying to achieve, so that when I answer my questions, I can answer them according to your interest on what makes a difference for you? And at that point, something happens. Everyone loves the mic, like I'm loving the mic now, right? Okay, so they will tell you a lot about their job. They will tell you, well, we posted this because we're doing such and such and such, and we're about to go into this project and develop this and develop that. What they're doing is they're giving you, now you have a chance to breathe. That's number one. The second thing is they're laying out how the job would make a difference for them. So when you answer the next questions, you are answering the next question on spot. You're not saying things that like throwing some mud on the wall, hoping something is going to stick. Now you're really answering to what, if I ask Dr. Barnabas, what is really important for you? Why did you have this job open? What are you trying to achieve? He's going to tell me. He wants me to fulfill on his needs. He doesn't want I'm not in the interview because he wants to mark me, right? He just wants to see all these people making a difference for him. So he will allow me to benefit him by telling me, okay, we're doing this. Now he's going to turn back to his questions, but now I have this picture where when I ask the question, it's spot on. Does that make sense? I'll stop here.
It does. And real quick, I know that there's another hand up, but real quick, I love that approach. And one of the ways that to kind of add on to that you take control of that interview is after that person answers that question, you can also, as the responder, say, you know what, that actually reminds me of a time that I went through a very similar process. So you start the dialogue in the interview because you know it's going to be a question, right? So that reminds you of a challenge that I've already faced in this particular role doing these particular things. So you continue that dialogue in a conversational tone versus it becoming an interrogative tone. So yes, excellent.
Yeah, and these are called polite interruptions. So while he's laying out the stuff, I am doing polite interruptions where I am adding value onto what he's saying without stopping his flow and still allowing him later on to continue with his questions.
I love those discussions and amazing. Again, tons of wisdom, Dr. Barnabas and Coach Mo. Ahmed, if you have a quick follow-up, go ahead.
Yes, I know we're running out of time, but just a quick note, two things actually. The first one is that as you have been saying, the interview is not it's not only about the interviewee, about the candidate, but it's also about the company. If you see that the company is trying to sell themselves to you, this is a good sign that you are like a good fit, and they are even trying to convince you. I teach my hiring managers how to sell our company to the candidates, because we might lose some candidates because we couldn't present ourselves quite well. So this is one point. The last thing is about if you are not hired, is this the end of the world? It's not. You are not hired not because you are bad. You're not hired because there might be a slightly different or higher, a little bit higher than you in one aspect that you don't know even. If you have been watching, I'm fond of cooking. I watch Master Chef and Top Chef. You can see that there must be a winner. This doesn't mean that the other one is a loser. No, there must be a winner. They try to meticulously find something that differentiate one person from another. So this doesn't mean that you're bad. It's something that they have been looking for, a differentiator only. That's the only reason. And don't be disappointed. Don't think that you are bad, because if you are disappointed, you are the loser, not them. If you keep fighting. I would give you a quick example about myself. I've been looking for a job in the HR field for a long time. And the very moment that I thought I should surrender and quit and look somewhere else, I got my dream job. So everyone, you should fight. You should always be fighting. Otherwise, you are the loser, not them. No one will care about you if you don't apply anymore. But you care about yourself for your dream job. Okay, keep fighting for your dream job, and that's my concluding remark. Thank you.
I love it. I love it, Ahmed. Thank you so much again, Dr. Barnabas, Coach Mo, Ahmed. Diane, we have a few minutes. Go ahead, maybe ask your question, and then we'll give you a few seconds here if you want to join. And then I'll say 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so when you're ready, I'll say 1, 2, 3, and smile. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Thank you so much for the great wisdom, everybody. Oh, we lost Coach Mo. Can we do it again? Sorry, Coach Mo, I think he had trouble joining the selfie. Sorry. Yeah, can we do it again? Just
if you allow me, Ahmed, to maybe have another question, maybe, and I would leave the floor to Samir about the most important question that we can ask.
Sounds good. Just let us just do the selfie again. If Coach Mo, you're back. Yeah.
Coach Mo,
are you there?
Okay.
Yes, I am there.
You're not in the camera. Okay. Okay, so
I'm
guys,
on camera now.
1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, awesome. Go ahead, Ahmed. Share other questions.
Sorry.
Just 1 second, Ahmed, before you go.
Yes,
I had started listing the questions in the chat, but now that I got out and in, I don't see any chat. It's 2 questions still in the chat.
Yes, we can see.
Did we add anything other than those 2 after I dropped?
No, I was going to add a third question, maybe, which is a double question, actually. What is your point of strength? What are your points of strength, and what are your points of weakness? In one way or another, you can ask this question in different ways. So, for example, I can ask if I'm doing your reference check and I speak to your manager, what do you think he would say about your points of weakness? What do you think he would say about your weakness point? So this, this is the question about weaknesses or strengths. My recommendation is that, again, you speak about your strengths within the framework of the job posting. So don't think about like I'm the best cook. So what does the cooking do with this job? If you are a programmer, you speak about your experience, your strengths in this field. Speak about your strengths in conflict management, conflict resolution, and so on. The other question, which is about your weaknesses. This is a tricky question, but it also shows how smart you are in responding to these questions. I can advise you to answer this question in one of two ways. The first way is a weakness that you already have identified, and you worked on it, and you improved it, and now you don't have it, which is a great example of how you develop yourself. I used to be disorganized. This was highlighted to me in my last performance review. I started to use some tools to organize myself, my thoughts, and now I'm working on, I now have improved a lot in organizing my schedule and my work. This is a good example. Another example, which is something that people see as a weakness, but you use as a strength in this field. For example, you are an accountant, and you can say, I'm an accountant, and this is my nature, and this is my job. I'm very meticulous. I'm very detailed oriented, to the extent that some people might think that I am too meticulous and I delay my job, my duties. I'm not worried. I don't intend to delay the job, but I intend to do the job the best way so that I don't have to redo the job. So these are two ways that you can answer this question about your weaknesses. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Okay, Coach Mo, you have any follow-up? Because I think Brother Muhammad wants to share his question, and we're running out of time.
Okay, two questions that are modern or established who you are as a person. Okay, tell me about a time that you failed and how you dealt with it. Okay.
Okay.
That's one question. The second question is, tell me about a team member that was not pulling their weight on the team and how did you deal with it?
Amazing.
Okay.
I love those questions. Those are
Yeah.
really, really very good questions. Thank you so much for asking that question, Diane. And thank you so much, Samer, Ahmad, Coach Mo, and everybody for sharing their wisdom. Okay, Muhammad, please go ahead, unmute and ask your question.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for giving me time. So, uh, uh, you know that right now there is many people in the market looking for a job. So one thing I noticed that after post the job requirement in the LinkedIn, within 2-3 hours is kind of like a 150 application already. So I was gonna ask you, like, say, if I am late for any reason and I notice the job description 1 day later or after 6 hours later, and I saw there is already, because I have the premium account and there is already 150 application is already submitted, this type of scenario, should I proceed and submit my resume, or internally recruiters, they kind of after 50 or 100 resume, they don't look the rest of them? I mean, what is your opinion?
I think we answered this before, but Samer, I think you answered it before. So go ahead.
Thank you. Mohammed, when we open a vacancy, it starts collecting applications. There's no priority by the time you apply. It's at the end one pool. The ATS system is sorting them and recommending the top 50 to the HR people. So no matter if you applied first or last, at the end it's one pool.
Thank
One
you.
one thing I can add, Muhammad, for this again, don't get discouraged that there is so many people applying. That does not mean that those who applied early would get the job. Sometimes they were all disqualified and only you get the job. You never know. So I don't feel like this number would make any, difference for you if you are a fit for the job. Definitely just make sure that you are a fit for the job before you apply. That's your only focus, because your time is your biggest asset. If you don't use that asset wisely, then unfortunately you're going to take more time to land a job. Ahmed and
Ahmed,
Dr.
let me. Did anybody raise their hand? I'm
Yeah,
Go
sorry.
ahead, Mo. Go ahead, no problem.
Let me just say something quickly. If I ask a question, 500 people applied for the job. How many people follow up? That's another thing. Like if you think there's so many people in a job that you applied 500, go on LinkedIn, connect with the recruiters from this company, connect to as many as you can, because not everyone on LinkedIn you connect to is going to accept your connection. I recommend five recruiters from that company, because the stat says only one or two will accept the connection. So five, and then when they accept, send them a message. Don't tell them that I applied and I'm looking for a job or something like that. Just send them a message saying that I've applied for this. I'm just looking for a confirmation that you guys got my application. And that implicitly would have them go run into the pile and pull up your resume to tell you whether you applied or not. And here they are. Once they answer the question, their resume and their profile is in their hands. So you do a detour uh, like from that queue, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach Mo.
Yeah, I
Ahmed,
was
Dr.
just gonna
Barnard.
add, Ahmed, that again, as you all said, you don't know how many people applied, and you don't know how many people were disqualified. So I can give you an example. I was hiring for an HR coordinator. I received more than 300 resumes. I went through them all. Like, not everyone does what I did, but I went through them all. Only 10 people were qualified for a phone interview, and 3 people were qualified for an in-person interview. So you can imagine, you don't know. Don't be disencouraged with the number of people who apply. Just do your job. And I will conclude with one advice that I received, one piece of advice that I received from my mentor before, which is, even if you see one item that you miss, which is for them is a must-have, which, for example, in my case as an HR coordinator, the HR manager, HR professional, Some companies used to ask for bilingual, must be bilingual, must be bilingual. I was discouraged by this statement, but my mentor said, why don't you apply? They might not have find anyone who is bilingual, and they will start looking for someone who is English speaker only. So do your job, do your extra mile, apply and do it. That's it. All what you can do is to apply. You cannot guarantee what will happen next, but do your job, apply, make sure that you tailor your resume, and as Coach Mo said, make sure that you follow up. All the people who followed up with me on LinkedIn, I remember their names, and I made sure that I review their resume again, even if they are disqualified, but they ring the bell. So I must make sure that I review their resume before even I reply to them, or after I reply to them. That's it.
Amazing. Thank you, Ahmed. Mohammed, any follow-ups here? Dr. Barnos, I think you had something to share, but I'll give Brother Ahmed first, Brother Mohammed first a chance to ask if there's any follow-up. You're mute, Brother Mohammed.
Sorry, follow up about what? I didn't get it.
About the insights that shared by Ahmed and Coach Mo, and are you good for those insights?
Yes. And just one quick additional question. Last week, it was recommended to submit the PDF instead of the Word file. I kind of very much feel comfortable about the Word file. Is it okay to submit the Word as a Word format resume, or it should not be Word format at all?
Again, this is, the main answer here. It depends, on the company, ATS, or whatever software or whatever process they are using. Some companies prefer Word, some companies prefer PDF. Eleni last week, she shared PDF is better because you avoid being corrupted file. Sometimes the Word, when it's sent, it gets corrupted, so that's why PDF is better. But again, if you feel more comfortable sending a Word document, that's your choice. At the end of the day, if you're applying to jobs and you're getting interviews, then whatever you're doing is working. So if you're applying for jobs and you're not getting interviews, then it's not working. Dr. Barnabas, I think you wanted to share something. Go ahead, please, sir.
I was just going to say you got to really be careful with the auto applies, the things that do the automated applies, and some of the folks over here could probably speak to this a little bit better than I can. But my understanding of what they do is LinkedIn kind of collects these submissions as they go through the process, and then submits them at a specified time that the organization has asked for those things to be submitted. So they kind of package them up, bulk them, and then send all the resumes at one time. The other thing about LinkedIn is I can click on the button and not really finish the application, and it counts as somebody submitted. So those numbers, to everybody's point, aren't really real numbers, right? That's just the number of people that click the button and say, yeah, I want to apply. But to the point that was made here, 75% of those people that are applying are shotgunning, right? They probably aren't even qualified to do the job. There's another 10% of those people that, they're going to filter themselves out. So the key for me is making sure that you put your best foot forward as you go through that process. And the other piece of advice that I would give is always go look at the company website and see if the company website actually contains that job that you can apply directly to the company, because those actually go to the hiring manager, directly to the hiring manager for that company for that particular role. It's not consolidated from a third party and then sent to those people as well. So that's another way to figure out, to see if they're going to give you the information from a company perspective as to who the hiring manager may be. You can also start to do your research and figure out other things about that particular company as you go through that process. So then you use that information to go back to LinkedIn to find out if there's any people that that you're connected with, or 2-3 people away that work at that company that you can go find and say, hey, look, I want to get some more. I'm looking at this particular company, not necessarily for a job. I'm just doing some research, if you will. And I'd love to get your insight on the culture, the impressions, and all those things that you've done, and just strike up a conversation, right? Not necessarily one to say, hey, I'm out here looking for a job and I need your help at this particular time. It's more about, hey, I'm out here researching this company, and some of the things that they're doing are pretty interesting to me. And I would love to get additional information from you on what you think about it since you're there now. And that breaks that ice to have that conversation.
Amazing. Tons of wisdom. Thank you, Dr. Barnabas.
Ahmed, I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I heard Muhammad correctly when he said, did they ask for a PDF in the application and you want to put a...
No, it was mainly...
Yeah, I haven't seen any because there is a different type of application process. Sometimes there is a easy apply, sometimes there is a work day, sometimes there is a greenhouse disease and that, but I never see anywhere that recruiter is asking, oh, the format has to be PDF. Sorry, brother Ahmed, you
Okay.
try to something.
No, it's
Okay.
okay. Again, I just wanna, tell Coach Mo, this is what Eleni, a professional recruiter who came 2 weeks back, shared that PDFs are better again because the version can get corrupted in a Word document. That's where it came from.
Okay, yeah,
This.
okay, yeah. No, because I thought if somebody asks specifically for PDF, don't give them a word because you already could demonstrate that you didn't listen to the requirements. So they have no reason to listen to you back and call you for an interview, right? Okay, but yeah,
Amazing.
and one thing I want to talk about this also. She said from a particular perspective, but I'll tell you things that happen in the industry, and you want to be cautious. PDFs are usually more difficult to alter and make changes on them versus a Word document, right? Although the technology now can take any Word PDF and turn it back to a Word doc, but believe it or not, I've seen and heard about some playing in the background where recruiters can fix profiles. For example, I'm a recruiter. I have a particular candidate that I like. I'll take Mohammed's resume that he submitted to me. I will remove the contact information. I will put my candidate's contact information. I'll send it. Can you believe that this happens?
I think
Like
maybe
theft, straight,
it's
but it happens.
yeah. Sometimes maybe it happens. Samir, go ahead. I think you have a follow up on this specific
Yeah,
point.
thank you. So regarding the format of the resume, I would say if the job applicant is lucky, then his resume will go to Mr. Ahmed. He's reading all the received applications. That's amazing. I don't read all the application. In fact, since 18 years doing HR and recruitment, I never read one resume. I skip. I never read anyone in full. I read only for my client. For me, the format doesn't make much difference if it's a Word or PDF. If it's opening on my computer, that's what I need. So I will say there's no one rule. It depends on the client. It depends where you're applying. Check the requirement, as Coach Mo mentioned. If they are specifying certain format, go for it. Otherwise, use the one you're preferring. The point Mr. Ahmed mentioned also is maintaining the right format. So you don't know what is the setting of the computer at the other side. They might be a letter, or they might be LT1 or A4. And when they come to print it, it become a mess. Then, yeah, be smart in choosing these